So you want to move. Welcome back to our apartment series where I help you figure out what you need to know in order to move into your first place or next place. By now, if you watched the last part of this series, you should know your budget. Me personally, once I figured out what that budget was for rent, I started looking at places because I wanted to know whether or not I needed to make some adjustments. I wanted to see what the apartments in my budget actually look like, if that was more my speed. But whether or not you look now or you look later, the next steps would be to assume the upfront costs. Generally, you should expect to be paying first month's rent. Some places may also ask for last month's rent. Most places are definitely going to ask for a security deposit. You're likely going to have to pay an application fee. How much that cost varies, and you may have to pay a broker's fee. I think in New York, it could be up to like 15% of the annual cost of your rent. So assuming upfront costs, expect to save at least $3,000 to $4,000, but it definitely can be more. Of course, the exact number of how much you're going to need to save is going to vary based off of your rent, based off of the apartment complex in of itself. But it is a good idea to assume you're going to have to spend more. That way, when you finally get into the next steps of applying, you're already ahead of the game. Now, another important thing that some people save for, some people don't, but I definitely wanted to, is furniture. If you do decide that you want to have everything ready, I would try to save at least $4,000, depending on what you anticipate having in your home and the type and quality of items that you want to have in your home. I think $4,000 is a good ballpark to start. I was able to pretty much fully furnish my apartment with $4,000, maybe $5,000. If you don't want to save for everything, I definitely would recommend saving for the essentials: bed frame, mattress, for a couch. It's definitely going to be one of your biggest expenses, and I definitely was not prepared to see how much couches cost, but it is something that you want to have, especially if you plan on having guests over. All your bathroom supplies, all your toiletries. Some other things that you might want to save for in advance would be hiring movers. Same goes for cleaners, moving supplies. Personally, I wouldn't buy any boxes if you didn't have to. You go to retail stores or grocery stores and ask them for old boxes. And the last important one, having some money set aside for groceries, at least enough to hold you for the first week or two. But that is it for this part of our series. Figuring out how much you need to save is going to be a big part of your moving process. Once you figure out those numbers, you can start taking the next steps to actually save it and eventually get into the next steps of looking for your apartment, which is going to be the next part of our series. If you're looking for any savings tools, I have some savings trackers on my Etsy for different amounts, different occasions. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next part of our series, and good luck.